Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Theresa Campbell here, your publisher and a co-author of My Soul Says Yes. And I am so excited this morning to introduce to you the two other co-authors of My Soul Says Yes book anthology. So proud, so happy that, we started an idea and completed the project. That's number one. We completed what we started. I'm so excited to introduce to you the ladies who were arm in arm with me along the way for the entire ride. And while I'm continuing just to introduce and let the internet catch up, let Facebook catch up, I want you to go ahead and share this out. If you're watching, comment, please. If you're watching, go ahead and drop an emoji. Let me know where you're tuning in from. This timeline is global, so I'm excited to know where you're streaming in, where you're watching us from. Okay, and I'm just doing some checks to make sure that we are live. My name is Theresa Campbell, again, the publisher and co-author for My Soul Says Yes. It's a book of love. It started out with a whole bunch of authors, and we ended up with a nice, neat crew and tribe of women dedicated to the project. So I would like to know who's watching, where you are from. Thank you so much. If you can hear me okay, see me okay, please let me know. In the meantime, I am going to go ahead and bring on our first co-author. Oh, if you would please also share to Instagram, share to your pages. If you are a new author, if you are wanting to write a book and you have no idea where to start, how to begin, then this is the conversation for you. If you want to know what obstacles to look out for and how to overcome them, then this is the conversation for you. Okay, without further ado, I would like to bring on to our live stream this morning, Miss Cherie Hunter, who is out of North Carolina. She was one of the co-authors in the book, and we call her Chef Cherie Hunter in these parts. Miss Cherie, I am adding you to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Pretty good. We did it.
Yes, we did.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, I'm Cherie Hunter, also goes by the name of Chef Cherie Hunter. I am a chef. I have my own business, Global Love Catering and Personal Chef, based here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. I'm married, getting ready to be 22 years of marriage come the end of February.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have 4 wonderful kids, 3 boys and 1 girl.
And the business, all of that, and the business.
Yes.
So for everyone who is single, who's got the 9 to 5, who's thinking, how can I possibly get my business off of the ground? Well, here's your example, right? You can have a family, have a business, and be in love 22 years strong. Hey, yes. Justin. I know he's watching. Hey. All right. And next, I would like to bring on to our live stream Miss Nicolette Chinamona, all the way. If my video stops, please bear with it. It's if it's blotchy, bear with me. All the way from Botswana, Africa, Nicolette, welcome. I am adding you to the stream. Good evening, I should say. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you too. Well, good morning, I guess. It's still morning for you.
Plus, good morning. Um,
Afternoon.
and afternoon. And you know what? That's one of the things I love about this. We have somehow managed to coordinate this project with 3 different time zones across the world. So, kudos to you ladies for staying true to this throughout the project. Nicolette, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do in your side of the world?
Awesome, definitely. So I'm Nicolette. I live in Botswana, that's in Africa. Very exciting. And I'm a business coach primarily. I also do events for women's empowerment. And of course, I do write a little bit. I love working with people on their ideas. That's why I was very, very excited when Theresa asked me to come on board with this project because I like things. I like doing things. So this has been a very amazing experience and very fulfilling as well, definitely, especially as a writer.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I love that. And we love your take on life, your viewpoint, if you will. You keep it very much straight, no chaser, right?
Yeah.
All right, ladies. So let's get into it. Audience, if you're listening, if you're watching, if you have any questions for Nicolette and Cherie, please go ahead and drop them into the comments. And I can also, we also have chatting. So if you want to come on screen, let me know. I'd love to invite any of our viewers on screen. Okay, so why don't you tell us, and I am going to, let's see. I want to play one of your links or your video clips, but maybe I wanted to play one of your video clips of the podcast we did back in December, but we'll just get right into it. So Cherie, why don't you tell us about your process of writing your chapter for My Soul Says Yes?
Well, for me, this was my first book. So the process for me was different and challenging, but I was up for the challenge. First, deciding on what stories to tell, the way I wanted to impact the reader. So once I established that, then I was able to go into deeper in writing each story.
Awesome. And Nicolette?
Oh gosh, well, I'm a very messy writer, to say the least. There's a school of thought that there are 2 types of writers. There are people that are plotters, and then there are people that are pansters. So the plotters, usually those people who are very organized and they kind of have an outline before they start writing. And then the pansters are those that just sit down and say, okay, what's in my head? And then they kind of dump it out. So I think I'm a little bit of both. To be honest, when I did my part of this book, I was it was about 3 weeks out from the deadline, and I really just told myself, okay, you need to sit down and stop avoiding it, grow a pair, enter these mighty boobs and sit down and actually say, okay, like what's in your brain. And it was really a process of just writing as if I was talking to someone and just, kind of like the words that I would want someone to hear saying to me. That was my process. It was just an entire brain dump.
And to me, that's what I find is one of the best places to start is just dumping everything out of your head around the topic and theme And then from there, I dive right into an outline. But for it's always best just to get the thoughts and the main gist of what you want to communicate out first. Why would you say any woman, no matter where she's at in the world, why should she read this book? And Nicolette, you can go first. Why should she read the book?
One of the things that I believe is that there's value in storytelling. Women have been doing this for years. I mean, you usually call it like kitchen table talk, where you get into the kitchen and then you sit and then you talk to each other and you share your stories and you share your experiences. And I feel like it is always worth taking the time to listen to the stories of other women and to learn from them. I'm very much a person who does not believe in, learn your own mistakes by yourself. I'm always like, please, if somebody else has gone through the pain, I would rather actually like get their experience and then, kind of learn from it. So I feel like, this book has come from a very heartfelt place from all of us. And, we have something to share that we feel like could enrich the world. And I would encourage other women to read that, the same way that they all have stories that perhaps could enrich us. So it's a process of, I guess, empowering each other. So that's why I think they should read this book.
I love that. Cherie, I want to ask you another question. In writing the book, did you have any obstacles? Was there any part of your story that you really wanted to tell that you maybe felt like you couldn't, but you knew that it would serve a purpose to someone? And, did you do this dance between I want to include it, but I don't? How do I include it? That type of thing. Talk to the audience about obstacles that you had to overcome to share your story and what maybe in your telling what they can do to avoid the same obstacles.
Okay, so for me, it wasn't so much one, it was reliving the story, reliving it to the point of putting it to words. Because sometimes how you're feeling about something, you don't quite know the words. You can feel it, but to verbalize how you're feeling with that story is a bit challenging. And finding a way to tell your story without, I don't want to say stepping on any toes, but being respectful in the way that you tell your story, that includes others, to where you're telling your story, but you're not telling their story.
It's like not calling anybody's name. Should I really tell about, the
Yes.
guy who stepped on my toe and I was in the kid, will he read the book? That type of thing.
Yes.
So in that, it's all about authenticity too. So how do you stay true to yourself and share your story? And is it always about the other person?
No, it absolutely isn't. I know for me, writing this book was very therapeutic, very releasing. Some things that I wrote about in the book that I've been holding on to, that I was finally able to release and let go. And in writing those stories, letting go allowed me to give myself permission to tell my story, regardless of how it will affect someone else that is involved, because my story could actually help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means that someone is not going to be too happy with me personally, then I'm okay with that. Because for me, I want to inspire and let other women and men know that they are not alone. that they're not the only one that has gone through something, that they can get through it and move past it. It might take some time, but it is possible.
It might take all of our 20s, all of our 30s, but we can get through it. To that
Absolutely.
point, Nicolette, what I really enjoyed about the book is that our writing style, not only was our writing styles different, but our themes of our chapters was very different. And I think that's what makes the book very unique and very very meaty. You know what I mean? It's not like this. Okay, everybody, forgive me. It's not like the typical self-development guru book. Do these 10 steps and you'll find the light. It's really, like you said, and like we're talking about here, truth telling, sharing our stories in such a way to where people can find some enlightenment in them. Your chapter is called The Regal Beast. Why don't you tell the audience about what the Regal Beast stands for?
Okay, so I'm African. I'm Shona. I come from Zimbabwe, and one of the aspects of our culture that we have here is that we have family animals. Best way to describe it, or rather a totem, basically an animal that represents your family. This was kind of used in a time before people had surnames, so that you'd kind of have an idea of who your relatives were. So you could say, oh, I'm a Shumba, which is a lion. I'm a Shumba from XYZ. And then you can meet someone and they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know you. Because that's actually happened to my mom, where she's met people and said, oh, I'm a Smango. It's a small type of monkey from this area. And another person's like, oh, so we're related because I'm also, from that area, without even hearing the surname. So what it was that, we're really in a stage in the world in which we are hearing a lot about women being queens or embracing their queenliness. And yet, whenever people think about queens, they always think of these,
what it was
that, we're really in that stage. And demure women, very soft-spoken women. And there is this kind of this teaching that I guess feminism has been trying to get out of, if you're a woman, you need to be quiet and you need to be demure and you need to be gentle. And yet a lot of women are aggressive. A lot of women are ambitious. A lot of women are hungry. A lot of women want to achieve so much more. So my chapter was really kind of about marrying those ideas of how, there's an inner primal self that every woman has, and that she just needs to embrace that inner primal self, whatever it is that she can identify with. I mean, for me, my family animal is a lion, and so whenever people think of lioness, they always think, oh, queen of, the savannah or whatever, of the animal kingdom and stuff. And that has actually been something that's helped me in my own life in how I've kind of approached situations, circumstances, by always looking at the characteristics of a lioness, looking at myself and saying, hey, what's going on here? Are you shying away when you should actually be moving forward? Are you being patient the way that a lioness is patient when she is trying to catch something? Are you really sneaking up on it? Are you being graceful? Because it's not always just about brutality. My chapter also speaks about how you need to be graceful with your strength, because lionesses are very graceful, even though they've got a lot of muscle, but they have to hunt in mostly dry grassland. And that means that, their prey's ears is always very, very tuned to all the sounds. So she definitely, as a lioness, needs to be very graceful when she's moving in dry grass. So it was really about looking at those characteristics and saying, what, I want women to embrace their true selves, their primal selves, and stop being defined by what people expect them to be. Stop being demure, stop being quiet and soft-spoken. Just be yourself, hunt, go get the world.
One of your sub chapters, I think, is Save the Kill, or what is that one called? About the kill?
You must keep what you kill.
Keep what you
What you
kill.
kill.
Can you share a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah. So what I was talking about is that a lot of the times as women, when we achieve something and people want to congratulate us, we often quickly back away from it. So even though we've done so much work to get that thing, do that thing, as soon as someone compliments us, we immediately begin diminishing our accomplishments. So even it's as simple as maybe things that we wear. Let's talk about, how you dressed, So let's say you're wearing something lovely and then someone says, "Oh my gosh, that's so pretty." A lot of women default to, "Oh no, this old thing, oh no, like I got it on sale, it's really cheap," instead of just saying,
So
"Well,
true.
thank you." And I've also seen, like, it also happened, I think I've noticed some instances, people talking about it happening on the red carpet, where they'll say to a woman, "Oh my gosh, your role was so amazing, you're this amazing actress," and then the woman's like, "Oh no, actually the
Like,
director's really good." And it's like no one actually just says, "Hey, thank you." I'm great. So we put in so much effort to kill something, to hunt something and catch it, and then we don't keep the kill, and we then give it to other people to eat.
I love that. I think we can all learn from that. Cherie, one of the themes that you talk about in your book is really family, we'll say family dynamics. We'll
Mm-hmm.
say, what happens when the family dynamic is challenged, right?
Right.
Why don't you talk to the audience about that? And here's what I would like to offer is that with the pandemic, we have been around our family, probably some of us way too much. We've had to be, I'm just saying.
Mhm.
And, statistics will show that some families struggle. You can imagine that if you were struggling before the pandemic, now when you are locked down, quarantined for now 13 months, you're tested even more. Why don't you share with the audience about your story in the book, the chapter, with regards to family dynamics and what that means to you and how you keep it together when it's falling apart?
For me, growing up, family dynamics has always played a big part. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, and uncles, everyone has their part and where they stand and what authority, so to speak, that they have in the family dynamics. No one was able to really do something unless they got the approval of someone above them, or they didn't feel like their idea or what they want to do was accomplishable or validated if no one else agreed with them. So even with deciding to write this book, it was, I'm going to write this book, but then I had to let certain individuals know that I'm going to be writing this book and they're possibly going to be in it, depending on what stories I'm going to tell. And they're like, "Well, I don't want to tell you not to write your story. I guess I just have to prepare myself," and not being able to physically talk to those individuals because of the pandemic has made it a bit more challenging, because you want to talk to them, but you would rather do it face to face, because that, for me, that's how I grew up. It's not a conversation to have over the phone. Something like that, you go directly to the person, you sit down with them, and you let them know. But with the pandemic, that has had to change. And which for some of us, I guess more relaxing to be able to talk to someone on the phone rather than having to look them in their eyes.
It's not as much pressure, right?
Yeah, it's
It's not
not
as
as
much
much
pressure.
pressure because if you say something and they don't like it, one, they could hang up, you're in the clear. Or you could get hang up and it ends the conversation. Whereas when you're face to face, you don't really have that option. Yes, you could get up and possibly leave, but it's harder to do in that instance. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I love that. I'm going to ask a different question, ladies. Bear with me. All right. Roll with the punches. Roll, roll, roll. Um, Cherie,
Yes.
we have had experience now with African culture by way of our sister Nicolette.
Nicolette.
What would you say you see are the differences, especially with Black women, between, and especially as an African American woman, what would you say you see as the difference between African women? I know that's a very general question, but if you can, I think we have enough interaction where you can see some differences. Can you speak to what you experienced, what you see as the difference?
Well, from speaking with Nicolette and being in her space, I can automatically tell that the way we were brought up is completely two ends of the spectrum. In the aspect that, for me, yes, family was a major dynamic, but with Nicolette, it was, but it wasn't as enforced because they have the different animals and different animals cling to different groups and they really don't, I don't want to say intermingle together, but they, like Nicolette said, oh, you're a monkey, I am too, and they automatically relate to that person. Whereas for me, oh, you're a Quillen, okay, yeah, you, maybe not so much.
From
You know,
which aunt, from which brother, from which, and
right,
then we
right. And
decide.
then it comes a division with that. You know, you hear that they're a monkey. It's not okay. Is your monkey married to a
Exactly.
lion? Or there's none of that. It's you're Quillen. Well, who's your daddy? Who's your mama? You know, where'd you grow up? Because regardless of the name, a lot of it falls on where you grew up.
Right.
With Nicolette, with Africans, it's their tribe, their animal. And once they know the animal, oh, that's everything is kosher. You know, they don't put too much emphasis on the totem pole.
Where people are from, and well, in
Right,
the sense
right.
of which brother or which sister or that part of it. So
Yeah.
Nicolette, same question. In dealing with, you can speak to interaction with this book and just interaction with African American women. Talk to the audience about what you see the differences are. And I'm asking this question because I found it very interesting initially. I've gotten over my shock, but I think there is something to having this conversation about African American women and African women and how we can bridge the gap. That's why I'm having this conversation. And one of the ways we bridge gaps is to talk about what's different and really identifying the powerful parts of who we are. Family is definitely a powerful part of who we are, no matter which side of the Atlantic that we're on. Excuse me. But Nicolette, if you can talk to the audience about what you see are the differences in African American women versus African women.
I guess they are a few differences. They're not actually that many, but I guess if I was really to look at something, I would say one thing that I think I like about the African American women's experience is that they're more independent. I feel like African American women are more independent, but it's a bit of a catch-22. They're more independent because they do not have that intense weight culture basically weighing down on their shoulders. So I know there's been a recent discussion, I guess, within African American circles of, finding out your ancestry, where perhaps you originally came from the continent, and getting back to your roots, right? And which is very important because, when you have roots, I guess it gives you a stronger sense of identity, and yet, that's also a catch-22, having that identity, because when you identify with something, there is a lot of pressure that actually comes with it. So I'll give an example in that, Africa is very cultural. And I mean, look, there are over 50 countries, and within those countries, there are different groups, different tribes. So it's a whole thing. And each tribe and each individual culture has certain viewpoints on how women are supposed to behave, what is expected of them, So it is actually only happening now where we're having a lot of Black women here in Africa saying, you know what, there's this custom and there's this culture, but I'm not going to ascribe to that. That's not good for me, because it's actually negating my rights as a person, and it's kind of it's oppressing me as a woman, So then there is that catch-22 where it's like, oh yay, we have all of this identity, we have generations and generations of culture and all these traditions, but they also weigh us down in certain ways. I mean, even I had a discussion with a young man last year. I was interviewing him for my podcast, and we're talking about feminism and the patriarchy, and he was talking about how in our culture, because we're both Shona from Zimbabwe, both from the Shona tribe, that that women are actually revered, women are worshipped, and that was his perspective. And then when I came and said, no, that's not a universal experience, he was kind of like, no, all of this trampling down on women, and women don't need feminism because in our culture we worship women. And then it's kind of like, that hasn't been my experience in that culture, So while it's amazing having an identity and roots that go deep, there's also a lot of burden to carry with that. And I find that African American women don't have that burden. They can literally just, wake up and do something, and then it will, no one's gonna say, oh, we don't do that in our culture, like that is, like, what's your mother gonna say? What are your uncles going to say? And yet there is, again, it's a catch-22, because while there's also the pressure of culture, there's also the support of culture. I often say, when we get married, it's a whole family affair. Basically, there's a more traditional part, where they come and they pay the cows or whatever your parents ask for, as a bride price, and all the families come together. So you tend to find that even like how it's supposed to work is that if you have a problem in your marriage, that you can solve together as a couple, then your older relatives, your uncles, your aunts will come and sit together and say, okay, how can we, help you with this? How can we fix this issue, you know. So there is that support. And then now, because I feel like African American women don't have that, I guess, that support, because it's culturally based. It's a cultural expectation that, look, you're my uncle. If I'm having problems, you need to show up and you need to make a big deal about this. I also find that it's made African American women stronger in a way, because they've had to face so many things by themselves. You know, they're basically alone, and they've had to face all of those things by themselves. And it's actually it's kind of been almost, I guess, sad, but also good in the same kind of branch. So it's, I think that's the biggest difference, I guess I would say, is that African American women tend to go at a lot of stuff alone. And as an African woman, I don't really have to. I mean, I could, but there's usually some sort of support. But then, as long as it aligns with what my family wants, as soon as it doesn't align with what my family wants, then the support can be withdrawn in a way.
I love that. I love that. I could talk about that topic all day. I love it. Let's move on to, I want to talk a bit about what you would recommend to authors, be it new authors or those who have published a book before. What would you recommend to them about taking on this journey of writing a book, and how they can, I don't know if the process can necessarily be easy, but how can they enjoy the ride? How can they enjoy the process? Cherie, you want to go first? What would you recommend?
For one, I was going to say to not enjoy the process, but accept the process. Accept the process and don't rush it. Biggest thing is to let it come naturally. And yes, writer's block is a real thing. I never understood it, never thought it was until this project. And when your brain goes blank, it goes blank. And at those times, you need to remind yourself that it's okay. It's okay to step away. This is my first project, but I believe a lot of authors will say the best thing to do when you're stuck or you don't know what comes next is to walk away and to put it down. Don't think about it. Don't look at it for 2-3 days. Some authors might do it longer and then come back to it. Like with my writing, some of the stories that I did write, I absolutely had to walk away. And I did.
And a lot of times it's so emotional too that your body literally
physically, emotionally draining. And at that time, it's only right and fair to yourself to walk away and let you have your moment, your time to process that you're actually writing and telling this story that has you emotional. It's okay. You know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And just not listening to the naysayers, not listening to outside sources, you know, even those that can be positive about it. Not all the time is their positivity genuine. Sometimes they're, oh, okay, that's nice. You're making
you're writing a book.
Right. And at times you can tell in the tone of their voice that they don't mean it. Block them out. Don't listen to them. Yeah.
Man, all of that is really good. So important. Nicolette, same question. What would you offer to those who want to write a book? Um, how can they enjoy the process along the way? And this isn't your first book, correct? You've written a book before.
Yeah, no, it's not my first book. I've been writing since I was a child almost. And I wrote a book about wine a few years ago. I would say, we really focus on the possibility of enjoying the writing process, but sometimes it's not enjoyable. And I think that's something we have to be honest about. Is sometimes writing is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying because writing requires a great deal of vulnerability. Um, and basically, when you're writing, it's you saying, you know what? I think I have this great idea and I think the whole world needs to read it. And that is a very dangerous statement to make to yourself because that requires you to believe so much in something within yourself that you want to present it to the world. And that's going to be intimidating because unless you are an egomaniac, at some point you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is not a good idea. No one's going to read this. No one's going to want to read this. Why am I writing this? Am I crazy? And you're going to have so many doubts. You're going to be confused, like Cherie spoke about. Writer's block. That's definitely something that's going to happen. But the thing is that it's normal. And even if you read blog posts by some of the best-selling authors, they actually share the fact that, sometimes they just look at their computers and they're like, this is rubbish. I'm doing rubbish. I suck. You know what? I should just go jump off a cliff. So it is actually a natural part of the process. What I will say is that the key to finishing a project is to be consistent, even if you're scared. Set yourself a target, even if it's just 15 minutes. So you say, I'm going to sit down for just 15 minutes. I'm totally scared of this, but I'm just 15 minutes. And then afterwards I can run away and I can do whatever I want. And then just start pouring out everything that is inside you. And don't doubt what you're pouring out. This is not the time to be self-editing, doubting. Just put it down on paper and just let it flow and give yourself permission to tell the world something, because a lot of times we don't feel like we have the permission for that. So do that, and sometimes you just have to do it. The great thing about writing a book is you sometimes don't even have to publish. Just get through the phase of actually just pushing it out, and then after you push it out, then you can be like, okay, am I gonna show people this baby, or am I just gonna hide it, whatever the case, but at least you've done it. But if you feel discouraged, if you feel depressed, if you don't feel motivated, if you don't feel inspired, that's actually normal. You're not the only one. Nothing is wrong with you. It's part of the process.
I love both of those answers and responses is exactly it, and probably wraps up the writing process in a nutshell. One of the things I want to share with the audience is that we do, in sharing our stories, it is life. We do touch on some subjects that are, listen, we talk about domestic abuse, we talk about physical abuse, we talk about family dynamics, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We talk about family pressure. We talk about all of these things because it's who we are. And if you've lived any length of time on the face of the planet, you will have experienced some of these issues or know someone in your family very close to you who has experienced these issues. So in the book, we do delve into some tough topics. There are some resources in the book. Also, I wanted to mention that a portion of our proceeds and profits from the book, we are donating to 3 charities. You'll find those charities in the back of the book. One is in Africa, one is for veterans, and one is for human trafficking. Topics that are near and dear to our hearts, the authors. And we've had some book sales. We are selling in the US. We are doing our very best to get books to Africa. And no matter where you are in the world, you can purchase a copy of the book. It is available on Amazon. You can buy the book. If you're in Ireland, you can buy the book. If you're in Europe, you can buy the book. If you're in Australia, you can buy the book. Wherever you are, Amazon is amazing these days. You can purchase the book. You can also go to mysoulsays.yes.net, N-E-T, okay, mysoulsays.yes.net, and purchase a copy. On Amazon is the soft cover. On the website is the hard cover, okay? We are also offering a gift box that would include a t-shirt and some other little goodies. So if you want to take advantage of that, also, you can find that at mysoulsaysyes.net. And as we wrap up our time here, I do want to give the co-authors a moment to share where the audience can find them, share your links, share your business, and let us know how we can stay connected with you. Cherie, you want to go first?
Yes, I can be located my website, www.globallovecatering.com. I'm also on Facebook, same name. I'm on LinkedIn at Cherie Hunter, and I'm also on Instagram at chef_Cherie.
Awesome. Nicolette, would you mind? Oh, and Cherie, why don't you tell us what you do again? Tell the audience. I know what you do, but can you share with the audience what you do, please?
Yes, I'm a personal chef located here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I do service the surrounding areas. Right now, I am in the process of putting together and offering a 4-week course, Soul Food, Good Food for a Healthy Lifestyle. So that'll be coming 1 March. Look for that. It's coming 1 March. It'll launch. Yeah, so I'm delving in some different things. With the pandemic, I'm not able to really go into individuals' homes, but I can do some coaching, helping them come up with a meal plan, for their healthy lifestyle, and show them where and when would be the best time to purchase certain things, certain produce for them to start their healthy lifestyle.
And it's the beginning of the year. Everybody's trying to lose weight, get in shape, get the waist snatched, all of that stuff. So
But not everyone knows where to start or how to start.
okay.
And that's where I come in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Nicolette will come back. I'm going to show her information. Nicolette is, again, a business coach out of Botswana, Africa. You can find her here, start.sparkideascourses.com. She is fantastic. I've known Nicolette in the online space. Gosh, it seems here she is. I'll let her tell her story. For quite a few years. I was just sharing how long we've known each other, and it's only been online, but I feel like you're my sister. We've been doing this for quite a few years now. So Nicolette, why don't you share with everyone how they can stay in contact with you, and tell us what you do. Again, I know you do business coaching, but do you have any offers? How can they work with you?
All right, so yes, I do specialize in business coaching. I help people who have ideas develop their ideas. I think every entrepreneur thinks they have a brilliant idea, and sometimes you just need to sit with somebody so that they can help you mull your ideas over and figure out, if really the type of business you want to start is actually the type of business that you should be starting, and how you can actually be more successful at it. Or if you've started a business, perhaps why it isn't working out. I've got clients all over the world, the UK, Germany, the US. So I work with people on the ideas. If you want to reach out to me, I'm going to be doing some brainstorming sessions, some group brainstorming sessions for free. So you can send me a message on my Facebook page. Just look for facebook.com/Nicolette on Ideas. And you can also find me on Instagram at Nicolette on Ideas. And you can just send me a message there. And we can get talking about, just your business and what it is exactly you're trying to accomplish, and perhaps what's kind of standing in your way from getting to where you want to be.
Awesome. I love it. So let's finish with a last question. Again, roll with the punches, lady. Just go with the flow. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Butter pecan.
Vanilla. I'm a straight vanilla person.
Really?
I'm a straight vanilla person because you always know what to expect. I feel like with all these other flavors, it can be a hit or a miss, but vanilla it's very stable. I love vanilla.
You know what, to be honest, that was the last flavor I would have chosen. I think I would have selected butter pecan for Cherie, because it's just what we do east of Texas. Mine would be pecan praline, of course. Pecan praline. So, and even we say pecan different. I say pecan.
You mean pecan praline?
Right. So, ladies, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy mornings and evenings and afternoons to share with the audience. My soul says, yes, we did it. That's all I can continue to say to myself, is that it's done. We did it. And congratulations to you. Thank you so much for your heart, your soul, into this project. Again, Nicolette, we are getting the books to you. Do not worry. Everybody watching, we will have book signings throughout the year, and we are working on this retreat at the end of the year in Africa. So thank you. Pick up a copy of My Soul Says Yes. Reach out to these ladies. They are phenomenal. If you need a chef, reach out to Cherie. If you need some business coaching, reach out to Nicolette. I am Theresa Campbell. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, have a wonderful day. Have a great week. Make some money. Thank you, ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Christiana. Hi. See you guys. Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a fantastic week. Bye.